Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Gail.
And
you
well,
are
you're
chasing the Joneses.
Welcome back to our channel. We're so glad you guys are with us. We are at a lighthouse today. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful lighthouse. And where is it at?
We are at Pointe Aux Barques Lighthouse, which is on Lake Huron, and we are here,
Right
on the thumbnail.
Right on the
Right on
tippy
the
tip.
tip.
Right. And then water's
Yes.
right behind us. Anyway, we found this lighthouse. And Michigan has a lot of lighthouses along this route.
But this one is really special because you can actually drive right up to it. Many of them you can see from the coastline, but this one has a gift shop and a museum and grounds. In fact, there's an RV park that's right adjacent to it. So there's lots of places that you can actually really interact with this lighthouse that was built in 1849.
Right, and so we're going to show you around. We already went into the museum and took some great pictures we want to share with you guys. You can see the reflection of light that it uses, and I can just imagine the light that reflected out for the ships. And so we're going to walk around and kind of show you the grounds, and hope you can enjoy it like we are enjoying it today. It is a beautiful sunny day.
So this is just a gorgeous day to be out here. The lighthouse can be toured any day of the week, but the gift shop, which is right over here, is open Thursday through Saturday. So we just happen to be here on a day that they're open. So gift shop, and then on this side is actually the Lighthouse Museum. Over here is the oil tank that used to have all the oil to fuel that big old light. The assistant lightkeeper's house. It's really the lightkeeper's house, but there's a story about that we'll tell you later. But that's the assistant lightkeeper's house. And I guess keep on doing the circle, because if you come back all the way around, then you will see the historic lifesaver station. And actually, you might as well just finish that circle, because if you come all the way around, that is actually the original lifesavers station house, because this is where the Coast Guard would man staff. So when there was a shipwreck or a boat in distress, they would deploy and go out there. I believe their motto is, "We all have to go, but we don't have to come back." So we'll show you some more about their memorial over here.
It's a beautiful lighthouse. They have tours but you can go all the way up to the top, and only certain times of the month you can do that. But there's a whole story based off here, and Gail's going to show it to us.
So this is actually a memorial to the more than 100 ships that have met their watery grave, and honoring those souls that have met their death out here in Lake Huron. You know that about Lake Superior, and that famous song by Gordon Lightfoot. Well, the same thing happens in Lake Superior. Lake Superior is actually the second deepest of all of the Great Lakes. So this is actually a part of a structure from the Brigantine Cohen, I think. That was a ship. And then as you walk around this area, there's a lot of information about the Great Storm of 1912, where 12 different ships sunk during the same storm. Over 250 souls were lost in one storm. So there's information on that. And then also the Daniel Morel was one of the it was another ship that crashed out here, and there was one survivor. He held on to a piece of wood that from the wreckage. Actually, it was a part of the lifeboat, believe it or not. And he was saved, but he was the only one saved. The museum actually has that piece of wood that he was holding on to. So there's that. And then you just have this awesome view of the water.
Lake Huron at its best. Blue skies, blue water.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful here, and you can see Canada as far as you can see, because Canada's right next door to us, right?
Yeah. However, what 2 or 3 days ago, we were still on Lake Huron, and a storm came up. It wasn't a huge storm, but we saw waves that were big enough that people could surf, like really surf on them. And we saw rip currents. So those waves that were coming at right angles, we saw that out there in that lake that looks so sweet and placid right now. Even yesterday, there would have been times when somebody would have lost their lives if they'd been out on boats.
So behind me, you'll notice that this is the house that they built. And when they built this house, they built it with plumbing in it.
Yeah.
And so
this was for the lightkeeper.
Right, it was a lightkeeper's house that they built plumbing in. And the lightkeeper did not want to stay in the house because it was too far away from the lighthouse itself. And so they ended up, we're going to show you here in a minute, they ended up building him a 2-seater outhouse. One of the guys said you could share the Sears catalog together back then when you sat next to each other. But they built that outhouse so that he didn't have to leave, and he stayed at the house of the lighthouse part so that he would be so close to the light to go up and make sure everything was working right. Back in the background back there, you'll notice there's some motor homes back there, some RVs and stuff. And guess what? Yep, that is it. That is the place where you can come and stay in this very peaceful thing. And there's a guy all the way out to the point up there, and he's walking his dog up there. What a beautiful sight that is.
Now this lighthouse here and the building were actually, this is not the original. The original, built in 1848, because of all of the harsh weather here, actually deteriorated to the point that it had to be rebuilt in 1858. The original one was about 500 square feet when I'm talking about the living area, not the tower itself. The original lighthouse keeper, Peter Shook, and his wife Catherine and their 8 children resided in this 500 square foot house. Now, Catherine Shook is renowned as being the first woman lightkeeper in the entire state. The reason, sadly though, is that her husband Peter lost his life in a storm, and so she took over. So she took over in a 500 square foot house while raising 8 children. We also learned that she ended up being one of the first people, or first women, to have property deeded in her name. And it was directly attributable to the fact that she had ran this lighthouse successfully for 4 years. And so when it came time that someone was trying to take their farmland away from them that's elsewhere in the state, that they were actually able to fight that and get that property deeded into her name as a woman, because she'd earned that right by serving right here. This is the Coast Guard memorial to those life-saving station crews, and here's where they have that motto: you have to go out, but you do not have to come back. They took their job very, very seriously.
So as we go back around, we're on the backside of the house, in the backside of the lighthouse. We find there's the outhouse. So when they built that house for the innkeeper, for the keeper of the light, what they did was they came out, because he didn't want to move, they came out and built this 2-seater outhouse for him so that he would be close to the lighthouse. And just look at this view, guys. I mean, what a view to have. Just absolutely amazing view to have from your house.
I had asked a question inside about how they dealt with the harsh winters here, and we learned something. The lighthouse keeper was paid to work for the season. So once the weather got cold enough that the lakes were freezing up, they were free to leave because there wasn't going to be any boat traffic. So, for example, the original lightkeepers, the Shook family, would then go back home and live on their farmland, or they'd go live, someplace else during that off season. The original rate of pay was $350 for the season. So think about this, y'all. The point of a lighthouse was to shine a light when there are ships around in really stormy and rocky waters. And this helped them to know where the safe zones were and the places to avoid. With our walk, we are also called to do that. So as we've walked around, I've just been thinking on how we too are called to be that light in whatever storm other people are facing. So you guys do the same thing.
That is very true.
So it's been great being around here.
Yeah, it's been great being around here. And listen, we have other tours that we do, specifically RV parks. So there's going to be one up here. Go ahead and click on that now, and we'll see you on the next video.